Second video for today, looking at Aileen Wournos. Very interesting, first ever female serial unaliver. Her story has always been interesting to me just because of the conviction that she holds and the way that she tries to maneuver out of situations. It's always been very interesting to me how she tries to pontificate and philosophize about her reasoning. Very similar to Manson, like we did. A very similar background in a way of coming in from a life of crime and not being as complex or living in the ideal citizen world, but not feeling like there's anything wrong. I'm out here just trying to defend myself. So here we go.
The dark woods off Florida's highways. It was down dirt roads like this that 7 men met the madness of one angry woman. Lee Wournos them, robbed them, and then drove home in their cars.
Those men were shot, just shot in self-defense, boom, boom, boom. You know, they weren't cut up, they weren't sliced up, no OJ jazz, you know. And he said, I did the most horrendous crime in the whole wide world.
Not true?
I guess not. All they were was shot and left. If it was a horrendous crime, why didn't I shoot them between the eyes, cut their off, stick it in their mouth, you know, do all kinds of gross stuff? All they were was shot and left, you know?
She's been called the damsel of death. And from butt embellishment aside, the story of history's first female serial is macabre enough, even without its supporting cast of characters.
So she's a little bit shorter. On the shorter end, she's smaller. So she's small and petite, unassuming, and a guy would feel like he would be threatened by something like this. But she has the perspective of, I'm going to show you. And she got it in her mind somewhere along the line when she was working in the streets, when she was out in the streets, she got it in her mind somewhere along the line that this is a way to conduct myself. I can get away with robbing and stealing and jacking people, you know, and unaliving them. I can get away with this because I am so unassuming. And so people know things like strengths and weaknesses about themselves that they can leverage. And this is the human psyche. This is the human mind. It's just basic human behavior. A lot of times we use things to our advantage, and you know, we for example, I think it's Adler that talks about this concept and I talk about this a little bit on my podcast channel. Adler talks about this concept of superiority and inferiority. And if you feel inferior in some way, then you're going to work toward the superiority in another way. So if I can't do it academically, I won't try academically. I know I'm inferior in that. So I'm going to work in another way, maybe through sports, maybe through creative arts and something else. But through here, she says, this is a path. It could have been used in any way, but this is the path I'm going to do. And so therefore, I know that I can use my unassuming charm to overtake them when they're not ready, because they're not thinking that this woman can do anything to them.
Oh, yes, I'm a public defender.
First, there's Lee Wournos' lawyer. She's given him the job of getting her to the electric chair.
If you want to plead out, that's what I'm all about. Just sign this no contest plea.
She's given him the job of getting her to the electric chair. Nobody wants to go to the electric chair and be electrocuted to your demise. Nobody wants that. Nobody. That's the scariest thing. And I don't care what anybody says. When you get there, you're going to be shaking. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be. And so, but as part of human behavior, I have to minimize that in my mind to accept it and prepare myself for it. Because even though I am a stone cold unaliver, that scares me. And I want to seem like I'm not scared of anything. That scares me.
Then there's the serial new mother. She first met Lee after her arrest and then legally adopted her.
Sheba. You know, we believe in the Holy Spirit, and so we feel it was him prompting us that this person really needed help, and she had nobody, and just reach out to her. So we did.
I met her in a bar.
And there's Lee's gay lover, who betrayed her to the police.
We were sitting on the floor watching TV, and she just come out and said, I have something to tell you. And I asked her what, and she said that she had shot a man that day.
Lee, it sounds like you've been betrayed by everyone.
That's right.
Yep.
I was, that's why.
Ooh, you saw her head snap around. She was, I'm sitting here listening because she's looking off into the distance thinking, but she is mad. This is somebody who who unalives people because she's mad. There is a rooted bitterness. I am not treated fairly in life, and people are, it doesn't matter who. Like the vehicle were just people that came to sleep with me, but it could have been anybody, right? Because I now giving myself a reason when people come to me and they say, who do you think you are? You're going to come to a young lady like me and you're going to do this. Well, I'm going to take advantage of you and I'm going to do it this way, right? She is mad and she really like, there's conviction there.
I don't care if I'm executed and leave this planet.
If anyone was destined to end up here on death row, it was probably Lee Wournos. Psychologists sketch a portrait of a damaged person with a lurid history of abuse that began in childhood. Abandoned by her teenage mother when she was just 6 months old, Lee was raised by her alcoholic grandmother and a cruel grandfather who regularly beat her with his belt buckle. When she was 2, her father committed suicide in jail, where he was doing time for kidnapping and raping a child. By 13, she'd been and was pregnant. At 14, she quit school. And when her grandfather kicked her out of home, Lee Wournos' life on the road began. From age 15, Lee Wournos worked lowest and most dangerous trade. A hitchhiking turning tricks from exit to exit on Florida's interstate highways.
Basically, I'd say I have 5 to 6 guys per day interested. They could be interested in 30, they could be interested in 40, they could be interested for 100. I wasn't too high priced, so I could keep the customers satisfied and,
That all changed when she turned 33. After years of abuse and degradation at the hands of men, Lee Wournos started evening the score. The kill all began like this. A middle-aged man pulled over to pick up Lee Wournos. That's the first of just 2 facts on which everyone agrees. The way Lee tells it, she was just trying to turn a trick, and the men knew it. The state of Florida maintains she tricked her victims by posing as a damsel in distress. The men thought they were helping her out. Either way, the second fact on which everyone agrees is
Helping her out. Come on. All right.
that Lee Wournos shot them. Maybe you were just born bad.
Boy, I don't know about you. I'm telling you, man. No, I wasn't born bad. You guys got it. Sam, trying to tell you, man, they lied. They lied so bad to you all.
But you've been convicted of 7 men.
Everybody's looking at the number.
Does that not, you 7 men, 7 strangers, does that not make you a serial?
Oh, there's a nervous energy there. Like her jaw is going like this. She's trying to collect herself and stay. There's so many fidgety things about her. That's why I enjoy watching this, because there's so much motion in her. She doesn't stay still. Her eyes are going up and down. She's squinting. She's getting angry. She's relaxing her face.
I didn't come every day, did I? Did I go out there every day and say, I'm okay? If I did, there would
Well,
be...
no, it took you 12 months.
Yeah, so she said the same thing to Charles Manson. If I really wanted to, then I would have. I'm only doing it to protect myself. And you guys don't understand anything, right? So there's a fire in her eyes that you don't see in Manson's eyes. That's what's interesting. And so there is Manson. It's there if you push him, but she has a mission to go out and seek people. That's why it turned into what it did.
Yeah. And that's a whole lot of men I went through before the next jerk came along, and I used a protection, like a condom.
So it was
For AIDS.
It was self-defense.
Yeah.
Lee, the first one, perhaps, the second, maybe, but
So what?
7 times?
So what?
Lee Wournos
Pushing
began the last day of her miserable life on the road here, ordering her first beer at 11 in the morning. Close to broke, as usual, it was Lee's style to hustle quarters for the jukebox so she could listen to her favourite song. On this day, that was made easier by 2 undercover cops. They struck up a conversation with her, bought her some more beer, and then convinced her to step outside.
I'm digging up bones, I'm digging up bones.
Lee was prepared for anything but the 6 Florida police officers who arrested her. It was from this point the story of the first female serial comes truly perplexing. First, her videotaped confession. Go ahead and put the electric chair to me. I should have never done it, she told police. But by the time of her trial, Lee was pleading self-defense.
She loved you, didn't she?
Yes?
She said she'd do anything for you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Her case wasn't helped when Tyria Moore, now very much her ex-lover, turned star witness for the prosecution.
They better be glad they locked her up, because if Aileen would have been able to get back out, it'd have been trouble for this young lady right here. Because Aileen doesn't let anybody close to her. And the fact that this young lady got close to her and then betrayed her, ooh.
In order for her to say what you wanted her to, you lied to her, right?
Yes.
But it gets worse. Tyria had another deal going with the arresting police. They were trying to sell Hollywood the movie rights to Lee Wournos' life and crazy times.
Why did you lie to her about those number of things?
Because I wanted her to keep talking about the offenses so I would be cleared.
District Attorney Rick Ridgway is one of the only officials willing to talk about the Wournos case anymore. The police certainly won't, out of sheer embarrassment.
I really don't know how to feel about that, man, just betraying somebody just to be betraying. I can understand calling the cops and telling, man, but you you see somebody who's clearly hurt, just kicking them when they're down, to me is what that seems like.
There was a tremendous amount of almost frenzy about the case, and everybody wanted to get a scoop on the next guy about the case, and there were so many people who were willing to pander to that in order to be the one who gets quoted or who gets the movie made about them.
Yeah. People from your own sheriff's office?
Well, unfortunately, yes, they did.
As the prosecutor, were you dismayed by that?
Well, to put it mildly, we went through the roof when we found out about it.
In the end, it was only the producers of this American TV movie who were able to cash in on Lee's story. Tyria and the police's conspiracy to get rich quick came to nothing once they were caught. But that hasn't stopped Lee Wournos suspecting that someone, somewhere, wants to exploit her name.
It's making me get bitter, evil, angry. I've never been before in my life. Worse than even out there with those men. This is evil, what those people have done to me.
Do you feel anger or even hatred towards men?
I never hated men, but now I do. I mean, not all. I have a category. I hate those male... God. I hate those male cops. Real bad, because they're dirtballs. The cops, the judges, the lawyers, they're all male.
I have made peace with my Lord.
You see, she's dang near jumping out of her chair to, that's the same fervency that she used on those guys. That kind of, that forwardness, it's like a cat that sits forward and is ready to pounce. That's that energy.
And I have asked forgiveness.
The final twist in this already mad tale was when Lee Wournos decided to plead no contest to the remaining 6 charges.
I sentence you in case number 91-463 to death for the murder of Troy Burris.
Her lawyer, Steve Glazer, found himself in the bizarre position.
You see how her face changed when he said, "I sentence you"? It shifted.
To death for the murder of Troy Burris.
She's like, and then it drops.
Burris.
Her lawyer, Steve
drops. Became more focused.
Steve Glazer found himself in the bizarre position of helping his client take the express route to the electric chair.
County case number, I sentence you to death for the murder of David Spears.
Thank you. And probably see, I'll be up in heaven while y'all rotting in.
In effect, though, weren't you trying to kill your client?
It's not what I was trying to do, okay? It's what she wanted to have done to her. She was tired of being in the spotlight. She was tired of reporters and police and lawyers, everyone making a career off of her. She did not like the man-hating label. She didn't like the angles. She didn't like what people were saying about her. And she knows if she has to go to trial 5 more times, she's going to be for the next 10 years.
Do you still believe she was competent to make that decision?
Without a doubt.
Okay, there will be an automatic appeal. You have the right to an appeal. Mr. Glazer, is that going to be handled by you or the
Your wife and kids get
I would ask that you appoint the public office.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender's office to handle the appeal. There's one other thing that I want to say that I think needs to be said.
I knew I was working with nothing but a bunch of stuff.
Therefore, these proceedings are now
Putting
concluded.
somebody who was... Yeah?
Do you still want the chair?
There's no sense in having me tormented for the rest of my life when I don't deserve to be tormented. I did what anybody else would do. And so there's only clemency or the chair. You make your pick, people, because that's the only way it's going to be.
Why did you adopt Lee Wournos?
For one reason and one reason only. We wanted her to know what it felt like to be part of a family.
Born-again Christian Aileen Wournos has a fondness for adopting stray animals. When she adopted Lee, she planned a life together on her farm. Now she'd be happy just to keep her alive.
That's it. Okay, that's about enough. There you go.
Well, tell me this, how did you counsel Lee?
I told her to go for the life in prison. I told her that that would be the best. I told her that God could use her within the prison to help other girls that were hurting, maybe didn't have a relationship with Jesus, and that she could really be used mightily there. And we fought bitterly over it. She said that no human being had the right to tell another human being what to do with their life.
Stop the murder, deter the crimes away.
Not much phases the singing lawyer Steve Glazer. Not the 3 heart attacks he's suffered since taking on this case, nor the criticism he's endured for seeking Lee Wournos' execution.
And a rich man's never died upon the chair.
It's crazy. It's crazy that she says that, because that little smirk on his face in the other portion of the interview, as if he's unbothered, but yet you have 3. There's a toll that this is taking, but you sit here and you smirk as if there's nothing wrong. And he takes on the pain, and it's almost as if he's living vicariously through her, because he takes on the pain and the true conviction of what she's going through. And so that's why he's able to, he sees, even though he's a lawyer, he's supposed to be an upstanding citizen, there's an underworld element to how he perceives and thinks and approaches the world, and he approaches his job. He doesn't like the system. I would be willing to bet that he doesn't like the system, and he got into being a lawyer and advocacy because he sees holes in the system that railroad people and stuff like that. So,
has this case been good for your career?
No, but that's life. You know, you take obla life goes on. You try something else.
Is there anyone in this cast of characters who isn't a little bit crazy, a little bit eccentric?
I think you got to be a little wild to be in this business.
Yeah. If Steve Glazer has done his job, Lee Wournos could be executed in this chair within 3 years. She's waived her right to appeal.
If he hears no last-minute stays from the governor's office, the electrode then is placed on top of the inmate's head. It's an actual cap with an electrode inside. It's secured onto his head. One of these electrodes here is then fastened onto the top of the headpiece.
Alone and lost in her own nightmare, Lee Wournos is an American horror story. She could escape death row, but her bitterness and hate will see Lee become the first woman in over a century to be executed in Florida. Aren't you afraid?
No, I'm not afraid. I know where I'm going. I'm going to be with the Lord.
Thank you,
Take
too.
care of yourself and tell everybody say hi.
Do you want to die? You want to?
Oh man, if I was to leave this planet, it wouldn't be no big deal to me, because this is a wicked, wicked world. Wicked world.
That's very unfortunate, that she, people weren't able to get to her to help her before she went down this path, because I think this is a direct result of not having good caregivers and good caretakers. I think that's something that, when we talk about the stages of development with Eric Erickson, he talks about how caregivers are extremely important in the development of the child. And I think that this is something to do with that, and that she wasn't properly cared for and reared up as a child. And so this is what came of it. So that's the video, and I appreciate you watching. If you liked it, comment, like, share, subscribe, comment. And until the next video, take it easy.